Welcome to the running journey. Welcome to the running journey.
Welcome to the running journey.
Welcome
to the running journey. Running journey, yeah. Welcome to The Running Journey, a transformative podcast telling the story of two brothers faced with a very tough time in their lives that decided to do something about it, get healthy, get fit, and start jogging. The Running Journey will take you through half marathons, Ironmans, ultra marathons, and their attempt at qualifying for the Boston Marathon.
Don't forget 5Ks. Sorry.
We're certainly not going to forget 5Ks, Charlie. This is The Running Journey. Listen to us while you run.
That's a great idea.
Okay, I think we have our intro.
Welcome, everyone. This is the inaugural first episode of the podcast, The Running Journey. Really thrilled to have you here. I'm excited. I have my brother, Charles Tatro, with me, and I'm Rob Tatro. Thanks for joining us. Charlie, great to have you here.
Thanks, Rob. Great to be
here.
It's
going to be pretty exciting. So this is what are we doing here, Charlie? Let's tell the viewers what we're doing. So the title is a bit of a giveaway, The Running Journey. What is this podcast about?
So this podcast is about our journey and us wanting to share our journey through running throughout the years. We both started running in 2021, and for maybe different reasons, and we've been running ever since. And it's about we want to kind of talk about what all the good things came out of it for us, how we went through some difficulties and how we overcame them, and just the journey throughout the years of running, and how much joy it's brought us, and how much closer it brought us together, because we kind of started during the pandemic, and maybe we were not as close as we once were when we were young, and running kind of brought us together as brothers, which was really good for us.
Isn't that cute? That's so cute. Yes, it has brought us back together. It's also about reaching out to people who maybe aren't sure how to train, how to run, what they should be doing. Should they start running? Maybe they're experienced runners and they're not necessarily getting the same high that we're getting. Maybe some have fallen out of love with running. Maybe some are looking to fall in love with something. Basically, it's our love story with running and how it's changed our lives. And it's been a dramatic change. How big were you when you kind of started running a year and a half ago? I know you were overweight. Can I call you that? Pudgy? Chunky?
Oh yeah, no, I'm still overweight. That's fine. It's all good. I'm checking the board here. I had every month written down. 247.
247. So 247. We're talking kind of early 2021. I weighed 250 right around that time. So we were both call it deuce and a half, as our friend from There's Something About Mary would say, Matt Dillon, deuce and a half.
Mm-hmm.
250 pounds. And the journey kind of begins for me with our father's diagnosis of cancer. For me, that's how it started for me. I just started the next day and I just started walking. I was 250 pounds. I hadn't jogged in forever. How about you?
It's kind of a similar story for me. I had jogged 6 years ago, got busy with work and life and kids, and stopped for a while. And then kind of late 2020, I was overweight and I wanted to start running again. And I kept saying, okay, I'll start next week. And it didn't happen. And then when I found out, I got the phone call from my mom about my dad's diagnosis. I kind of cried, and it was one of the first times I'd done that in a while. And I just realized now's the time. And the next day I went out for a half-hour walk. And the plan was to walk every day for at least a week. That's how I started.
That's what I did too. I did exactly that. I was just walking around St. Boniface, Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, just walking and getting steps in, because I had a watch and it was embarrassing how few steps I would get in, how little activity. The only activity I was getting in was my weekly hockey game. And even that, like, my team was close to cutting me because I was so terrible at it. And walking was kind of the only activity I'd done in forever, if you count that for activity. But you do need to count that for activity because it got it started, right? Before I want to get further into that, but before we get there, just quickly for those that are tuning in to this first episode of this journey. The journey for us is about 1.5 years long, almost 2 years long now. And it starts with walking, progressed to jogging, escalated to marathons, multiple marathons, 4-hour marathons, 3-hour marathons, Ironmans, running across Manitoba is now in the plan, more Ironmans and more marathons. So that's kind of where the story's going. Just if you have if you want to have an idea of where we're going, your personal best marathon is 2:54, mine is 2:56, but we certainly didn't start that way. Let's go back to that time in March. You had, yeah, I do remember that. You were jogging 7 years ago. I mean, I jogged as an 18-year-old, 19-year-old. I did a marathon. So we both kind of had jogged in the past. You started walking. When did you say, you know what, I'm going to take a few extra steps here and jog?
I think I told myself the first 2 weeks I would just walk, so that I would kind of, even walking, believe it or not, builds some aerobic capacity. So
when you're overweight like we were.
Yeah,
right?
so I decided I was going to walk for 2 weeks, and then I decided after 2 weeks I would try to sprinkle in some running. So it took me 2 weeks before I even started sprinkling in some running, and my goals were very modest at first on how much running I would do.
Yeah, I don't think I waited 2 weeks. I think I know I wasn't able to jog a lot at first, but I think I wanted to see what I could do. I think I probably started kind of one of the third or fourth day just to see what I could do, and probably almost killed myself on the treadmill. But it wasn't easy, and that kind of brings me to to anyone out there who's listening and watching and debating whether or not they can do it. Like, you don't have to start by running a marathon or a half marathon or a 10K or a 5K, right? Like, we're proof of that. What are you down to? What were you down to as your most recent race? 185 or something like that?
I was actually 178 for the
178
for my race. Yeah.
So you lost like 70 pounds.
63, 65 pounds, 70 pounds. Yeah.
70 pounds. I did the math.
Good job.
Quicker than you, obviously. Yeah. So other than my brother with the accounting, your undergrad?
I kind of missed what you said.
Science?
But
what's your undergrad in? You have an undergrad in science?
I got a bachelor's in science. Yep. And
okay. So I beat him in the math question, but yeah. the point is 70 pounds, and I only lost 60 pounds. I guess I have a bigger frame. I'm 5'11". What are you, 5'9"?
I'm really short. Yeah. 5'8",
really
5'8" actually. But yeah.
5'8". So 250 would have looked larger on you than it would have on me for sure. So the point here is that you could start anywhere. So for us, started walking and then a little bit of jogging. We're talking about just slightly less than 2 years ago, about 1.5 years ago. And then your first jogs, do you remember how they went?
Well, I'm looking at the data now. So
that's my brother, folks. Always looking at the data.
So I did 4.76 miles in 1 hour. I think that was my first time I tried running, and that was probably mostly walk. That was probably half and half, I would guess, walking and running.
You've kept that on every one of your jogs?
Yeah. So that was the first one. And then I walked the next 3 days. So I was only running twice a week. And even that, it was only about half. So that's one of the things that when a lot of people probably get discouraged too much is they try to run too much. It's okay to run and walk when you start. It's actually better long term.
It's actually the key to me is to just move.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just keep moving. Whether you're walking or running, your heart's still pumping, your legs are exercising. If you're not able to run, that means you'll get there someday, right? Like, it's like the sprinter who has to stop after 150 meters. He's got to walk. Well, you're not there yet. Or the marathon, or like for us, when you're trying to do a really, really fast pace in a marathon, well, you just, at some point you're gonna have to walk. So when you're out of shape, maybe that comes after a minute or 2 or 3 or 5. But regardless, you just keep moving. And I remember my dad, when I was doing my Ironman, I know it was my first marathon. I messaged him at mile 20. I had my cell phone with me, and I texted him and I said, I'm not going to finish this. It's going to be a disaster. Now, I knew I was going to finish it, but I was like, I don't know. I was really down that wall that wall that I've not really felt since it was like mile 18, 20. And that was my 4-hour 48 marathon. And he's like, just keep moving, just walk. And I was like, okay, all right, I'll just keep moving. And that's what got me going. And that's the same thing with your first jogging. You're just moving, you just keep moving. And the mental benefits that you felt. And for us here, those of you that listen to the podcast, you know, it's called the running journey. And like the journey itself, for me, it has been a crazy journey, because it's been a life-changing decision that the day that I went out there, like completely life-changing, life-altering for me. It's my life is it's a far cry from what it was 2 years ago. How about you?
Yeah, same thing. So just
But it's not just the weight, right? Like,
no,
it's way more than that.
It's it's to me, it's just more of a sense of balance, and having things that just the feeling of running outside is so, it's hard to explain, but your mental health, like, it just makes you, it improves your mood, makes you kind of more energetic for the rest of the day, and you enjoy the time with your kids, you focus at work, and so it's all these things, but to me, it's mostly the mental health.
Yeah, and I don't know if I agree with you that it's outside, because I jog in my basement and I get a crazy high when I jog in my basement on my treadmill right
So
here.
it's not, and maybe it's not going outside, maybe it's just the actual movement that does it, because after the last marathon, I forced myself not to run for 2 weeks, and when I returned and I got 2 days in a row, it's like I was like, that's what I was missing in my life. It was like I feel normal again. It's weird.
Yeah.
Maybe it's an addiction. I don't know.
Well, I think it is, right? Like, I think it for sure is physiologically and physically and mentally, I'd say all three, right?
Yeah.
There's the releasing of the endorphin, serotonin, or whatever the heck happens, and then just the compulsiveness of it, and the routine of it, and then how good you feel after the jog, and to set up the day, and how more productive you are. And I was struggling with dealing with these the unknown of, I thought my dad was dying. So our dad is alive and well, and rang the bell at the cancer care in Manitoba recently, and he's doing good. But I thought he was dying, so I didn't know how to cope with that. And I, I've always been able to control things, and I thought, oh, I couldn't control this. So what do you do? And that walking just gave me mental clarity. Just gave me, okay, Rob. And my dad told me, focus on the things you can control. It's one of the first things he told me. Just focus on the things you can control. That's it. Stop focusing on stuff you can't control. And I felt like running and walking I could control. And it was like I had an immediate impact. And it got me away from thinking about what happens if the chemo doesn't work? What happens if cancer gets worse? And I was in a really, really rough spot. And it worked for me.
Yeah, and maybe for me, like for you, I know you're more of an extrovert, and I don't know if that affects things. Like, but for me as an introvert, that 1 hour I just kind of go out and I'm alone in the world is kind of, I kind of just, I know some people like running in groups and stuff, but me just being alone and outside, to me, it makes a difference. I just love being outside too.
Hey, so you're saying that you're an introvert, and therefore running by yourself is better?
Yeah. So I'm saying I love that 1 hour or whatever that time is a day where I just get to be alone and with my own thoughts or whatever, and just kind of in my own world for an hour.
Yeah, so I don't know that. So obviously you probably value that, but for me, my life, like, I'm always with people, always, every day, from the moment I'm up to the moment so when I go into the basement and I turn my phone off, and there's no emails, there's no text messages, there's no nothing. In the same way that you love that time by yourself, I love it. I look forward to it. Like the Saturday mornings, when I can tune out for 3 hours and hammer out 20 miles or whatever the heck.
Well, it's kind of like
I'm doing.
Yeah.
Do you think we're related?
Yeah.
Our hands on our
Yeah.
face.
It's also kind of that it's a bit of a flow thing. Like, I don't know, like hockey used to do it for me a lot when I was younger, where you just kind of you're in your own world. Uh, but it's similar with running.
Yeah, and then so you started jogging. You did 4.7 miles in an hour. That would have been like mid-March, something like that, late March, somewhere around there, maybe early
Late
April.
March, yeah.
By the time, so I was doing the same. I don't know, I don't remember the exact distances, but I have the data somewhere, but on my spreadsheet, but I think I was doing probably 2 and 3 miles and maybe the odd 4 miler, and trying to get it up to a half hour, trying to get it up to like 3 miles in a half hour, trying to get to like 3 10-minute miles without stopping. I remember that was kind of like an immediate goal that I wanted to be able to do 3 miles nonstop, and I wanted to be able to do it in half an hour. And I don't remember how long that took me, but I know it wasn't like as quick as it probably should have been.
So I wrote down my goal for March. I wrote down monthly goals when I started. So my goal for March was, I wrote it down, was to walk or run 5 miles in one day. And I was doing 1 hour a day, every day. So one of the things I think was critical for me, I don't know how you feel about it, but was developing the habit. So I just decided I wanted to develop this habit. And I decided every day is going to be the same. It's 1 hour a day, no matter what, when I started, for like the first 2 months. And March, my goal was 5 miles a day. Did you have any goals when you started?
I did, but so for me, like I kind of told my wife, Michelle, I said, I just need some time, and I just need to go walk, and my goal was more just to get the time and to do it. And
Yeah.
I realized early, I did this for about a month or two, maybe a month, where it was kind of hodgepodge and loosey goosey. And I would go every day, but I didn't, like, it wasn't scheduled. It wasn't like formalized, and I had a business to run. And so it wasn't like I hadn't figured it out yet. But what happened is the month of June came around, and like kind of in May or something like that, my wife said, for CMV Awareness Month. So it's a charity that Michelle and I started, and we put a lot of energy and time into it. And she said, are we going to do our 5K donation? And when she said 5K donation, I was trying to do 5K right in a day. And she said, 5K donation. And I said, yeah. And you know what we should do? We should run a 5K. And then there was kind of a pause. And I said, why don't we do a 5K? Why don't I do a 5K every day for the month of June? That's what I said. This was like in May, and I had already lost like probably 10 pounds or 50 pounds. I was feeling better. And so that's when it formalized it, where I was going to do a 5K every day. And it didn't, for me, it started much later, but that was a bit of a turning point.
But I think getting that habit built in, like whatever it is, like something where it's you think about it less and it just happens like that, it makes a huge difference on your way to kind of like, at this point, it would be almost impossible to stop. Like, I mean,
well, do you have a habit now? Is it like, tell me, like, are you regimented that it's always at the same time that you do the same stuff?
Me, it's right when I get up, no matter
what.
But
but it's not always the same thing that you do.
Well, now that I'm training for Ironman, when I was running, is just get up and run every day, no matter what.
Yeah, but were you running the same distance and the same?
I had different. So once I got really into the marathon and I wanted to get really good results, I started doing different workouts. But at first, I tried to just do the same thing every day. But now I change it up lots. But the habit is still the same. The habit is get up, have a cup of coffee, put your shoes on. That's the only thing you need to do. Once you've got your shoes on, you're ready to run. And that's the hard part.
I don't even have the coffee.
Yeah. No, I know you don't drink coffee.
I
you do it. It's interesting. Both you and your wife did the 5K a day, right? How was that?
We both did it, and I had like an injury in there. Some days I would walk it. And I was embarrassed to say that because I was saying on the website, I'm jogging 5K every day. And I was like, I walked a little bit, some of it today. And I had days where I was like really hungover, and like I was having a hard time, like really, really hungover, overweight, didn't want to get up, didn't want to leave the couch. and I still had to do the 5K. So like I battled through it, and I did
But
every
you
day.
had you had a couple good days. I remember you telling me like a 22-minute 5K or something.
I was getting better and better and better, and that's one of the things that I loved so much, is that I'm hyper competitive like you are, Charlie. And guys at the office were telling me that, that there's no way that I could beat them in a 5K. And like one guy told me that his best 5K was like 23 minutes, and call me when you get close to that. So I kind of made my goal in those 30 days to beat 23 minutes, to get it into the 22s, just so I could tell that one guy, Diego, just so I could tell Diggsy, hey Diggsy, I ran a 22 and change. And then I could race him, because that was his personal best. And I wanted to do that. And so I was pushing myself, but I also had like injuries. I remember the last day, June 30th, last day, I went for a nap around like 7 o'clock or something, and I was going to get up and whatever. And I had like a long day, and Michelle woke me at like 11:30 p.m. and she was like, hey, you haven't done your 5K yet. And,
no way.
And I was like, holy shit. I was like, what day is it? What day is it? And she's like, because I thought it was the morning, you're napping and you don't know what day. And she's like, you got to go do your 5K. So I went downstairs and I
She
hammered
woke
out
you at 11:30 at night to do that?
my last 5K. I did it at just before midnight.
Oh, that's awesome.
Finished it
There's
just
no way.
before midnight.
I can't do anything after 7 a.m.
Well, I wasn't not going to do it now, right? Like I was that far in. And then I said the next day, I think I was talking to you. Had you signed up for a race yet at that point? When did you sign up for your first race?
Oh, I'd have to go check. I signed up, like I did the 10K at the Manitoba Marathon. I kind of had my plan. At some point, I decided I was going to do 10K Manitoba Marathon. I was going to do a half marathon in September, or sorry, I guess in October of 2021. So somewhere along the line, I had my plan where it was September 10K, October half, and then December was going to be my marathon.
Yeah, and you had kind of already planned that.
I think I had planned that by the time it was like August.
Yeah. So one really key part of this story, of this journey, that I want the listeners to know is that we weren't talking to each other about this.
Yeah.
This is the crazy part. Like we tell the story now, and people are like, oh, their dad got cancer. They went for dinner the next day, and they decided they'd run, and they decided they'd share and train together, and none of that happened. Like, remember, this was
except when you told me, oh, I'm running the marathon. I was like, what? You're running the marathon? I'm doing like, and then I was like, oh, you've been training lots, I guess. Like I had no clue. Anyways.
Yeah, I think I saw you in Marchand at our parents' place in Marchand, and you look svelter than you did, and I looked.
Yeah.
You were like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna do a jog or something." I was like, "You're jogging? You jogging?" You're like, "Yeah, I'm jogging." I was like, "I'm jogging too," and I was like, "I'm doing the marathon." And you were like, "What?" But I mean, I
was like, "What? He's ahead of me?" No, I was kidding. I was like, "What? I'm planning one in December."
Well, I've been known to like try stuff that I probably shouldn't, like ahead of my schedule, and I was just like, I'm gonna do a marathon. That's that. And then I know that once I commit to it, then I have to train to get there. Like committing to that marathon at that time was much, because I ended up traveling that summer, and I trained a lot, but the marathon was in first weekend of September, and so that gave me like June. I did 5K. In August, there were some trips, but this was the pandemic. I don't know if you recall.
But here's the thing about marathons. They're hard.
Here we go.
So people they're hard. So it's amazing that you did one that early, but marathons are hard.
Marathons are hard. That was the alternate name for this podcast. Yeah. Marathons are hard because until you've done one, you can't really understand how hard a marathon is. It's kind of like the Ironman. Until you've done one, you can't understand how hard it is. And I'm sure someone would say it's kind of like a 100-miler until you've done one, and on and on. But marathons are hard. I thought I was ready for that marathon. I remember I was talking to you about it, you did like a pretty fast 5K that day from what or 10K from what I recall, like for the times you were doing at that
Yeah, I
time,
was
I think.
pretty happy with it.
Like you did like 46, 7 minutes, something like that, if I think. Am I right?
47. It was like it was way better than what I ever thought. Like I thought I was gonna do like
Yeah, this time
50.
the mileage posts were off.
Yeah, no, definitely, definitely the kilometers were off. I only ran 9 kilometers for sure.
9.1 kilometers. Yay, 10K. All right. They purposely bring the mileage back so everyone gets a personal
I
best
felt
when
good
coming
about
back.
it. So yeah,
Felt
thanks.
great. Told all
Thanks.
your friends about it. Put on your social media. I remember like you talked to me the week before, and I was like, "What do I do?" You've always been the one that knows a lot more about like planning and like pacing, and I feel like you're always you always have way more information.
I feel like pacing is something that I'm really good at. Usually.
Yeah, and I went to you for advice. I said, Charlie, what do I do? I'm doing a marathon this weekend. And he's like, well, and you're like, well, just do 10-minute miles the whole way. You could do that. My goal was 4:30, which is just over 10-minute miles. And I'd been training every mile that I was doing. I didn't have any coach. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was doing 10-minute miles. My treadmill was always at 6.0, and that's what I trained at. I trained at 10-minute miles, and I thought I'd be good to do 26 of them, but I wasn't. I was not quite ready for that. I did a 4:48 because you know what? Marathons are hard.
They're hard. Yeah.
And I had a bit of an injury, and I wasn't hydrated enough, and I wasn't mentally as strong as I should have been. I wasn't in shape, but I got it done, and it was fun. It was crazy fun. As painful as it was so fun. And then I remember that's kind of when we started. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I think that's kind of when we started talking about doing one together, or am I wrong?
Well, so I think you didn't really have a plan, and I had already signed up for December 4th to run the second one. And at some point I was like, I don't really want to go. Like I thought maybe my wife was going to come with me, and I said I don't really want to go alone. So I kind of just texted you like random hope, like, do you want to come and run a marathon with me? And like,
Is that how it went down?
yeah, I didn't think you were going to say yes, and then you're like, yeah, for sure I'll do it. And then yeah,
I think I replied,
yeah,
I'm in, like 1
yeah,
second
something
later.
like that, yeah. Because I wasn't sure
I
if
was
you were
actually
still
really
running or
excited.
not, even after, because after the marathon, like you needed some recovery time. But
Yeah, well, I remember just being excited about the prospect. I love traveling. I kind of love, and like usually what I've been doing in my life is I would travel for sporting events. That's kind of what I've done my whole adult male with my male friends' life is we'd go to like an NFL game or a golf event or whatever, and that's my weekends, and those were fun trips. But I was excited to do this because I was like, okay, you put a trip around a marathon, like, and then you try to. And you were kind of pumping this marathon up for me. You're like, oh, that's a little downhill. The weather's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. You're going to get a personal best. And this was this early December. So this was September. So 3 months after I did my 4:48, I remember. And that's kind of when because up until then, you were running. I had no idea what you were doing.
yeah,
I was doing. And we were just kind of shooting the breeze. I was totally clueless as to how to run. And that's kind of when you told me, well, at a minimum, Rob, you should probably like download one of these online programs and like try to follow those. And that's what I did. I followed Hal Higdon. I did the intermediate,
yeah,
and where it peaks at 20 miles on the Saturday, and you do like 8 on the Wednesday, I think, or whatever. And I did that program. I did the Hal Higdon free online intermediate. By the way, Hal, send us a royalty check for free promo here. That's what I did for that first marathon, because you were kind of like, Rob, you can't just wing this. You don't. And I was like, nah. And what did you were doing? Were you doing your own plan, or had you figured out kind of?
yeah. I had my own plan. Like I've had experience kind of in my like in 2015 when I was running a little bit more. I kind of had a bit of experience there. So I tried a bunch of different things. But my plan was pretty simple. Like it was just long run. I had a plan. It was basically like a standard plan where I would adjust every week, but had a couple quicker runs and just normal. Yeah.
I don't remember moving the treadmill much from 6.0 in all of that training. Like, I think I was running at the same pace because I was just like 10-minute miles. And then they were getting easier and easier and easier to do 10-minute miles. And I remember telling you, there's a chance I can do it in 4:20. Like, I'm feeling good enough now that I think I could probably get to 4:20. And you were kind of in my mind, you were like miles ahead of me in your training. I thought you were like, at that time, I thought Charlie's ready to do like,
no, but yeah,
that's how I felt.
You were getting some pretty good runs there, though, at the end, I think.
No,
or did you step it up at some point? I thought you did.
I did step it up, but so I started getting confidence, and I started thinking that, you know what, maybe I'll be able to follow Charlie for some of it or most of it. And then I had some really good ones at the end, like my last 20. I think I did a 24.
Yeah, but you were telling me your 5K times and stuff, and they were way faster than mine at that point, I think.
Yeah. I don't know. In my mind, I think you were always you were like ahead of me. And I was
Yeah,
like, okay.
I think maybe you were faster 5K for sure, but maybe I had more mileage. I think maybe.
Yeah, because I was like, I just did a 4:48, and I was pretty sure you were going to do a sub 4 in my mind, or close to 4, right? Were you pretty confident you'd hit sub 4?
Yeah, I was pretty confident actually that time. I mean, marathons are hard still, but that was probably the easiest marathon I've run in terms of how hard it was. We've run 5 now, or 6?
6.
Out of the 6 that I ran, I'd say that one was the one that felt, I'm not going to say easy because it was hard at the end, but it felt the easiest out of those 6. I guess because my goal was just 4 hours, and I just made sure I got 4 hours. So I think I was in good shape then. But
before we wrap up this first episode, I do want to try our hand here at a blast from the past. So Charlie, I'm going to give our viewers one fact about you that they probably don't know. One, Charlie played AAA hockey growing up in Lebroque, Manitoba. Played for the Eastman Selects. Bit of a stone hands, kind of stay-at-home D. Quick first pass, breakout. Bit of a Scott Stevens type hitter. Loved lining guys up. Bit of a brawler. Love causing a little bit of disturbance as well. And the second thing is Charlie has multiple degrees, including a law degree, an accounting degree, and as I said earlier, a science degree. So there's 2 facts that you probably didn't know about Charlie. We'll keep hitting you with these every week. Next week, Charlie, you're going to do one about me. Right. And then I do want to thank you guys for tuning into this first episode. This podcast is really, it's about our journey. Our journey for us has been life-changing. It is. We encourage anyone to try it. Reach out to us if you're not sure. Please hit the subscribe button, hit the like, follow. Send us your comments, how your running is going. Please stay tuned for the next episode. We're going to continue talking about our journey. It's been a life-changing for me and for Charlie. Charlie, we'll come back with the next episode, guys, and make sure to catch us wherever you catch all your podcasts. Thanks for tuning in today, guys.
Thank you.